Greetings all, Shane Bruce, Restomod Daisy with an unusual video today. I've been messing with daisies for most of my life, but what actually got me started on restocking stuff was my habit of collecting toy guns. An example of which is this Paris, Tennessee 1776 Freedom Rifle. And as you can see, it's a toy gun. This is an unusual one in that it's an early gun, and it has a percussion style hammer. You place a pop cap, a stickum cap there, you pull the trigger, you get a snap, you get a puff of smoke, and if you'll notice here in the breech assembly, the remnants of a cork ball. Believe it or not, these guns actually shot cork balls. You drop the cork ball down the muzzle, you pull out, if you can get it out, the ramrod, tap it in place, ear your hammer back, put your stickum cap there, pull the trigger, and bam, it flies out the muzzle. Well, I've never seen one actually do that, but reports are that they do work that way. Now, the Freedom Rifle, as you can see, is a copy of a Kentucky long rifle, and it's a toy gun, but it is made of wood and steel and cast aluminum. I always thought they were kind of cool, but I also always thought they weren't kind of cool enough. So I got a bug. I decided I was going to build my version of the 1776 Freedom Rifle, but I wanted it to look more like a long rifle. And the guns you see on the counter are a result of that effort. These stocks are where I learned how to do glue up curly maple and fabricate them in the long rifle style. The cool thing about these guns, though, is the locks do work. Everything here is hand built. Typically 1/4-inch steel plate for the hammers and triggers. The barrels are 1/2-inch copper pipes. The breech plug is a piece of 1/2-inch round steel that's been turned. Everything that's blued is fire blued. With the smaller parts, you can get a little bit better color than with the bigger parts like daisy receivers. The trigger guards are all hand formed out of sheet steel. And I went to, started with steel screws, but I went to brass screws because it was a better look. Now, I'm not an adherent or a follower of any particular school of long rifles. I just build stocks and tried to do the best I could on each individual one. But the coolio thing about the little cap gun is you can fire a cap, but you'll notice that there's no breech hole. There's no way to actually get a cork ball to fire. And I've built a couple of variations that used percussion caps off black powder rifles in an attempt to get something that would actually shoot a cork ball. I've failed miserably so far. So as a result, I went ahead and changed my designs up. This is a fabricated lock plate, fabricated hammer. Oh, this one's slipped a bit, but you can still thumb it like you was a Western cowboy or something. And went to these decorative brass fittings for the nipples because it was just easier to fabricate than what I had done before. Before the nipples were actually connected to a non-functional breech, was connected to the copper tube. These guns strictly operate on the lock plate itself. There's no physical connection between the lock plate and the breech of the weapon. But in playing around with them, I discovered I really liked working with curly maple. Curly maple can give you a real good look. Like, ooh, there's a good example of a good side, but over here, much better. This is a nice looking piece. So essentially, these are all toy guns, although by and large, most people are not interested in them. And that one's a little whack on it. Not so great. Kind of a wide wrist, but an interesting look. And this is one of the few guns I've done in walnut. I don't work in that wood that often. But it is easier actually to get the machining done than the curly maple because you don't have the conflicting fibers. So anyway, this is there's another one where the sear is not working properly. And this is the kind of stuff we do here at Restomod. We build daisies primarily right now, but in the past, we built toy guns. And we built just other plain weird guns. So that's a taste from Restomod Development Labs, and this is Shane Bruce, Restomod Daisy, signing off.